While other kids were in elementary school, I was bleeding every single day just learning how to hold a blade. While others were out falling in love, I was spending day and night mastering the art of wiretapping. I've lived as a spy, hiding behind countless fake identities, and survived countless life or death situations in mercenary syndicates. Decades later, I became a living legend in the underworld. Even the most elite armed forces on the planet feared only one man, Badro, the god of death. But by then, I was already an old man in my 60s. I dedicated my entire life to the company, only to be tossed aside by the new boss. Just because I was getting old and diagnosed with cancer. To him, I was just a broken tool that needed to be thrown in the trash. Hearing all this, I decided to just quietly retire. But after the company sent endless waves of assassins to silence me, my 60-year-old body miraculously reversed in age, turning back into a 20-year-old. Just 3 months ago, after stepping down, I had opened a small bookstore. I followed the doctor's orders, taking all sorts of cancer meds every single day. Look, I wasn't afraid of dying. I mean, I'd spent my whole life dancing on the edge of death anyway. After 50 years of bleeding for the company, I didn't regret a single step I'd taken. Honestly, I didn't have any major regrets in life. But it wasn't until now that it hit me. I hadn't left behind a single photograph of myself in my entire life. Right then, a high school girl walked in. She claimed she was there to buy some prep books for her little brother. But a very familiar scent made me pause for a second. Then, I put on a warm smile and welcomed her in. She asked if I had any senior year review materials. But the moment I turned my back to look for them, the girl quietly pulled out a dagger. Without turning around, I calmly told her, just walk away while you still can. Do that, and I'll let you live. She was completely shocked, wondering how the hell I knew she was there. I said coldly, I've lived and breathed blood my entire life. Did you really think some cheap perfume could cover up the stench of a bloody blade? In just that brief exchange, the girl realized the god of death, Badro, was not someone she could mess with. Suddenly, I lunged right at her, because I knew exactly how the company operated. If the initial hit failed, they would immediately trigger Plan B while the girl was still trying to figure out what Plan B meant. 2 more assassins dropped in from the bookshelves. Clearly, she didn't fully understand the company's rules yet. When a mission fails, even the failed assassin gets eliminated. I bolted straight for the other side of the bookshelf. But the second I drew my gun and spun around, I saw those 2 had already grabbed her as a human shield. And right at that crucial moment, my body just froze on me. The assassins sneered at this broken old man. Was this really the legendary Badro? Then, the boss's intel broker stepped out from the shadows behind them. He sneered coldly, even with your legendary track record, you still couldn't beat terminal cancer, could you? I asked them why the hell they were trying to kill me. The broker smirked, the moment you step out of here, you're going to be hunted by thousands of assassins, because the bounty on your head is a staggering 76 billion. And ironically, that exact number was the life savings I had bled for over my entire career. The broker laughed like a maniac. Senior, once you're dead, all that money naturally goes into someone else's pockets. So you absolutely have to die by my hands. A merciless rain of punches came crashing down on my frail body. I was sent flying, crashing hard against the floor. The broker looked down, assuming I had passed out. Suddenly, I threw my hand up and tossed them a little parting gift, a heavy-duty flashbang. The entire bookstore lit up in a blinding flash. Relying on my muscle memory of the layout, I managed to escape. The assassins figured that, with the amount of blood I was losing, I wouldn't make it far. I collapsed under a slide in the nearby park. Back there, just trying to shield that girl, I had taken a bullet straight through the gut. And on top of the cancer eating me alive, I had absolutely no fight left in me. 50 years I gave 50 years of my life to the company. I never even asked for fame or fortune. I just couldn't understand why I had to end up like this. I refused to accept that this was how I was going to die. That money was supposed to be the legacy I left behind for the one I loved. But no matter how much rage burned inside me, this dying, broken body couldn't move a single inch. Sometime later, back inside the broker's base, the 2 assassins were absolutely furious that their 76 billion bounty had just slipped through their fingers. They were raging about stuffing this damned old man into a trash can. Suddenly, a chilling voice echoed through the room. That was the very first photo I ever took. The assassins spun around in shock, staring at the guy standing there. Why are you dressed like Badro? I honestly don't know what's going on either. I just woke up, and my body had completely changed. The assassin shouted a warning to back off. This is no place for a student like you. I told them to just stop wasting my time. Take me to Bashao. The 2 of them exchanged a quick glance. Then they smirked. If another assassin comes knocking on our door they ain't leaving alive. The assassin was completely stunned. What the hell is with this kid? I had casually blocked his attack with my bare hands. This was an attack from a former boxing champion. I just tightened my grip, and his hand bones were instantly crushed to pieces. The second assassin lunged at me with a sharp blade, but in the blink of an eye multiple deep fist imprints caved right into his chest. I muttered under my breath, Those who rely on knives are third-rate killers. Those who master all weapons are second-rate. But a truly first-rate assassin can turn absolutely anything in this world into a lethal weapon. Seeing me fight with a literal octopus tentacle, the assassin felt utterly humiliated. He charged at me in a blind rage. I just whipped the tentacle out, knocking the blade right out of his hand. Then, I violently wrapped the tentacle around his neck. Man, these fools have a death wish, but they are just way too weak. Allow me to send you straight to hell. I am Badro, the man once known as the absolute #1 in the underworld. Waking up, I had somehow reverted back to my younger self. The old Badro the company is hunting down is already dead. The real killer here is the reborn god of assassins. Meanwhile, a Maybach was speeding through the dark, rainy night. Bashao knew that soon enough, the company would officially put out a hit order on Badro. He had to catch the dying Badro before that happened. At that exact moment, I was casually walking right out of Bashao's base. Well then, time to take care of that bald guy. I headed straight into the public restroom. Completely ignoring the shocked stares of the bystanders, I stared at my reflection in the mirror in pure disbelief. The gunshot wound straight through my stomach was totally gone, and the agonizing pain from the cancer that was gone too. I had fully reverted back to my youth. I had absolutely no idea how or why. But whatever the reason, those guys definitely wouldn't recognize me looking like this. Still, before making my next move, I really need to go buy some new clothes. Just then, I noticed two massive thugs acting like they owned the place, right inside a strictly no-smoking zone. They were just puffing away, chatting loudly. I cleared my throat and politely asked if they could take their smoke outside. They just sneered at me, telling me to get the hell out of there, or I'd be digging an early grave. You know what, they were right. I really shouldn't be wasting my time on scumbags like them. Since I can't afford to waste any time, I might as well finish this fast. I slowly walked up to the two smoke-blowing punks. I needed to teach them exactly what happens when you don't respect your elders. Let's see how this plays out. One of the thugs scoffed, raising his hand to slap me. But in a fraction of a second, two heavy punches slammed right into him. The thug's windpipe instantly caved in. The other guy backed up in pure terror. Who the hell are you? I had no clue who he was, but I definitely recognized the blade in his hand. It was a classic pocket knife. And he was holding it completely backwards. Gripping it like that, if he actually tried to swing, he'd end up slicing his own fingers clean off. The thug roared, "Who the hell said I was gonna swing it?" But I knew better. If you're actually planning to stab someone, you don't stick your arm out straight like that. Humiliated and enraged, he lunged at me with the blade. I casually knocked it right out of his hand, caught it midair, and thrust it straight back at him. But I stopped just short. If I really wanted to stab him, he would have died 3 times over by now. The thug screamed in absolute panic, "Who the hell are you?" I casually shattered his collarbone and gave him a warning. Trust me, if you actually knew what I do for a living, you wouldn't be leaving here alive. Later on, I checked my bank account, only to find that my 7.6 billion was completely gone. I made it crystal clear that nobody was to touch that money. That was a massive inheritance I left behind for the people I cared about. Right then, a group of kids behind me were chattering away in pure excitement, talking about how they just got a scholarship from the Glory Club. Funnily enough, the place where I grew up was called the Glory Orphanage. It started out as a small operation run by a religious group, but now, 50 years later, it's transformed into a massive conglomerate with immense influence across all sectors. Hiding behind the mask of the Glory Club, they carry out all sorts of illicit activities. After all, it's the company I gave my life to, so I have to be the one to destroy it with my own hands. Inside the slaughterhouse late at night, the butcher sneered. "What, you're the only one they sent to deal with me?" 8 Arms replied disdainfully, "You're not Badro. Even sending just me to deal with trash like you is a waste of my time." The butcher knew he was expecting company tonight, so he'd gone out of his way to prepare quite the feast. The next second, 4 Bachna mercenaries stepped out from the shadows. The butcher knew that 8 Arms wasn't one of the 12 apostles of the Glory Club, so he couldn't fathom why 8 Arms was being so damn arrogant. The butcher ordered his men to give their guest a warm welcome. 8 Arms kept his eyes locked dead on the butcher. 2.5 seconds later, the butcher collapsed to the ground in sheer terror. He couldn't comprehend how a human could move exactly like an octopus. 8 Arms said coldly, "Even with all this setup, it's barely a snack for me." After all, he had used his contortionist skills to claim the title of national champion in Jiu-Jitsu. In a flash, he charged at the butcher with his neck twisted 180 degrees. A short while later, 8 Arms returned to his own base. He was met with a scene of utter chaos. The security cameras were smashed, and there were no signs of weapons being used. 8 Arms was baffled as to how that old bastard Badro had managed to cheat death. And he'd even managed to kill their guys. He told the girl that if she caught any wind of Badro's whereabouts, she was to report it to him immediately. Just then, the door to the base swung open. The waiter was confused. "What's going on? We're clearly closed for business today." He politely asked the intruder, "Can I help you? Do you have an appointment with us?" I replied casually, no appointment, but we do have some bad blood. 8 Arms looked puzzled and asked, have I ever chased you for a debt? I said coldly, you have. For about 7.6 billion. 8 Arms cracked a smile, then ordered in a deep voice, lock the doors. He had no idea how the kid standing in front of him knew anything about Badro. The waiter racked the slide of his gun. 8 Arms glared coldly at the uninvited guest. He didn't know where this kid got his nerve, standing there without a single trace of panic. So, 8 Arms gave the intruder 2 choices. Spill Badro's whereabouts and walk out alive. Or put up a fight and get a bullet in the head. I replied indifferently, I'm not really feeling either of those options. Then how about I give you a third option? Even though everyone who knows about this is already dead. I am Badro, and I'm the one who killed your 2 goons. 8 Arms couldn't understand what kind of nonsense the guy was spouting. He wondered, could it be that his 2 men weren't killed by Badro, but by this kid instead? If so, 8 Arms couldn't figure out why this kid would attack them. He warned him, listen, kid, this is a real gun. You'd better just talk and get the hell out of here. What exactly is your relationship with Badro? The girl also raised her dagger, ready for a fight. I sighed helplessly. Since 8 Arms refused to believe I was Badro, my only remaining option was to kill him. 8 Arms ordered the gunman to leave the guy breathing. The very next second, a chopstick pierced the henchman's neck, and another jammed right into the barrel of his gun. He hit the floor and stopped moving completely. The girl gasped in shock. He had actually been fatally struck by a simple chopstick. Meanwhile, the guy who looked about the same age as her casually picked up another pair of chopsticks. The girl was absolutely stunned. Even if you searched the entire country, you wouldn't find anyone with this kind of skill. 8 Arms sneered, pretty badass. With skills like that, why don't you just join the Glory Club and work with us? You son of a bitch. I immediately flipped the table up to block the incoming bullets. 8 Arms laughed. Just a kid after all. This isn't a movie, you know. A table like that can't stop bullets. A massive pool of blood was already seeping out from under the table. Still spouting his recruiting nonsense, 8 Arms walked toward the table. Suddenly, he lunged forward, raising his gun to shoot. But then he realized the stuff on the floor wasn't blood, it was chili oil. The 8-limbed assassin frantically started looking around for his target. Meanwhile, I was hanging right above him on the wall, and I spat a mouthful of chili oil straight into his eyes. Then, I quickly swatted his gun hand away and stripped his weapon apart in the blink of an eye. The assassin couldn't even react. My movements were way too fast for his eyes to track. He couldn't wrap his head around it. Was this guy really as young as he looked? Crack. His neck was violently twisted 180 degrees. He hit the floor, completely lifeless. Even as he died, he was thinking, how the hell does this make any sense? Over the past 10 years, he had fought hundreds of opponents, but he had never seen anyone at this age possess this kind of terrifying strength. Back when he was just a kid, his instructor told him about a desperate, do-or-die tactic. When facing an overwhelmingly powerful opponent, you have to strike at the exact moment they drop their guard. Ever since then, he trained relentlessly, perfecting a lethal move that only he could pull off. Day in and day out, he mastered it. He was dead confident that he would never lose to anyone ever again. His eyes shot wide open in a frenzy. He desperately clamped his arms around the legs in front of him, unleashing his ultimate do-or-die technique. He roared, I've been doing this shit for over 10 years. I've forgotten more about killing than a little punk like you will ever know. You hear me? Go to hell, you little brat. But right then, a voice casually praised him. Well, you held on for quite a while. He looked up, only to realize that his target was standing off to the side, completely unharmed. Blinded and confused, he had just strangled his own subordinate to death. He had been in the assassination business for over a decade, so his instincts were screaming the truth. He was going to die by this man's hands. He finally realized that this kid's strength was far beyond even the 12 apostles. Panicking, he begged for his life, desperately trying to cut a deal. He grabbed the girl next to him and pleaded, let me take her with me. She doesn't have much combat experience, but she can still be useful. I replied coldly, just what I'd expect from a member of the Glory Club. You adapt fast. Fine, we have a deal. Hearing that, he bolted for the door, thinking to himself that once he got out, he would dig up everything on this guy and then slaughter him. But right then, he heard the man behind him coldly utter 3 words, do or die. If you turn your back on your opponent the second you think you've won, you're already dead. Those were the exact words his instructor used to tell him. An impossible thought suddenly flashed through his mind. Looking at the young man standing in front of him, he saw the terrifying shadow of his old master Badro. I asked him, do you remember what I just said? Anyone who finds out I'm Badro leaves in a body bag. The #1 jiu-jitsu master in the country, the 8-limbed assassin, was mercilessly choked to death. Facing the god of death himself, Badro, he never had a single chance of survival. A short while later, at the top of a skyscraper owned by the Glory Club, dying old man gets shot, and within a day, without leaving a single trace, he slaughters 4 highly trained assassins. Now that is genuinely fascinating. The man gave the order. As of right now, issue a triple S rank bounty. Hunt down Badro. Out on the bustling streets, the crowds all stopped and looked up at the massive jumbotron. The elderly face of Badro was plastered up there like a charity campaign. But I knew better, it was a thinly veiled hit order. I'm not going to sit around waiting for you to find me because I'm coming for you first. To wipe out the Glory Company, I was going to need some backup. And I knew exactly who to call. Though, that lone wolf bastard can be a real pain in the ass to deal with. Late at night, I arrived at a deserted public restroom. There were surprisingly a lot of people hanging around. I remembered there was a hidden switch in here somewhere. It should be right between the ads for illegal deals and wild nights. I hit it, and successfully popped open the secret passageway. The place was just as incredibly lavish as I remembered. You could literally smell the dirty money stacked up to build this place. Suddenly, the sharp tip of a cane was pressed firmly against my throat. I casually asked the man, all these fancy silk suits and royal antiques. Aren't they completely useless to you? I mean, you're blind as a bat anyway. The woman laughed. Well, I never thought I'd be coming out of retirement after laying low for so long. Even though she was blind, her senses were incredibly sharp. She knew instantly the guy standing in front of her was young. He didn't reek of booze, and he didn't smell like a local. He was young, sure, but he was reeking of bloodlust. Did Glory send you? She demanded. Her attack was lightning fast. She sneered. Ah, the little mouse is pretty good at dodging, huh? That wallpaper was expensive, you know. I was starting to get curious. Is she really blind? She was tough, I'll give her that. But I was done playing games with her. She was completely caught off guard. She had no idea the Glory Club still had fighters this strong. But wait, she couldn't sense any actual bloodlust from him. Still, her beef with Glory was something that could only end in blood. She screamed, Mackin, get him, but the weird sound that followed made her freeze in her tracks. Her German Shepherd, a dog that viciously hated strangers, was actually whining and acting cute with a guy it had never met. After I explained that Badro, had somehow reverse-aged. She kept feeling my face over and over in total disbelief. Not only was my skin smooth, but that old man smell was completely gone too. She gasped, is something like this actually possible? She literally dropped to the floor and asked, did you die in this pose? She was practically itching to try it out herself. Then she started bombarding me with questions. How did you do it? Did you get shot? Stabbed? Was it poison? After I flicked her on the forehead a couple of times, she finally calmed down. She asked, boss, are you really gonna take on Glory all by yourself? How the hell are you gonna pull that off? I told her I was heading straight into the eye of the storm. She frowned. What is that supposed to mean? I knew Glory was absolutely desperate to hunt me down right now. And the only way to get a grip on them and shake things up from the inside was to become an assassin for the Glory Club. She scoffed. What kind of crazy talk is that? But then it hit her. Nobody would recognize a young Badro. So, if this new, young Badro became an assassin for Glory, it meant that I, Badro, would literally be drafting the battle plans to hunt down myself. She let out a low whistle. Boss, you really are a terrifying guy. But she told me it was impossible. Why? Because only kids from the glorious orphanage are allowed to become hitmen for the club. Sure, the old Badro grew up in that exact orphanage. But this young Badro was just a complete outsider to them. However, I knew there was a loophole. 2 days later, at a private high school owned by the Glory Club, the girls were squealing. Oh my god, we finally got a hot guy at our school. Yep, my grand plan was to enroll in New Glory High School. As of today, my name was Kim Sun Ji Yu. Girls tugged at my sleeve. Sun Ji Yu, we need to head to the auditorium right now. On the surface, it looked like a totally normal school. But the real reason this place existed was to breed killers. They were secretly running an advanced hitman program right under everyone's noses. And my only ticket into the Glory Club's inner circle was getting myself into that advanced class. The auditorium was loud and chaotic. Over the earpiece, the woman reminded me that the hitman class only recruited kids straight from the orphanage. Do you seriously have a way in? She whispered. I knew there was exactly one exception to their rule. It was super rare, but it would definitely grab their attention. I walked right up to the stage and grabbed the mic. I'm the new transfer student, Kim Sun Ji Yu. My hobby is fighting and I'm damn good at it. Oh, and I'm a hitman. The second those words left my mouth, the entire room gasped in absolute shock. Which was exactly the reaction I wanted. This was how I was gonna force the hitman class to invite me in. Just for kicks, I added, and I'm gonna be the top student here. An academic-type hitman. Just then, a massive guy shoved his way through the crowd. I smirked. Looks like a fish took the bait. The meathead got in my face and yelled, did you hit on Yi Jin? I had absolutely no idea what the hell he was talking about. But honestly, this setup was absolutely perfect for drawing a crowd. This guy, Jang Yi-sul, had only loved one woman his entire life. And today was exactly the 22nd day he had been dating his girlfriend, Yi Jin. Known as the most hopelessly in love guy at Glory High, and as of today, the guy whose girlfriend got stolen by the new transfer student, Kim Sun Ji Yu. That's right, Zhang Yisul is out for blood. He wants revenge. This was a guy who ruled the whole Mapo district with his fists yet, for the very first time in his life. He could practically smell death. Believing these were his final moments, he cried out an apology to Yi Jin. I'm so sorry I couldn't protect you. But my fist didn't actually drop. I just lightly flicked him right on the forehead. Zhang Yisul completely collapsed to the ground, terrified. Just then, a teacher came running over, screaming, "How dare you fight on these sacred school grounds?" He barked at me, "You little punk. What does your father do for a living?" I casually replied, "I'm pretty sure he's dead." The teacher choked on his words, apologized awkwardly, but still dragged me away. Meanwhile, watching all this from above, the kids in the assassin class. They thought the new transfer student was pretty interesting. They started debating whether or not they should just take out this cocky little bastard. Down in the crowd, Jo Eun-sung was absolutely dumbfounded. She couldn't wrap her head around why that guy was here. Was he planning to completely destroy this school? At lunch, Eun-sung heard a familiar voice. "Ah, the other students are way too intense, so I came here to hide out." I sat down and asked, "Eun-sung, what are you doing hiding over here?" Looking guilty, she muttered that she just didn't have much of an appetite. Her tray is completely piled up with food, though. Hearing me, her mind suddenly flashed back to that terrifying day. The day I had looked right at her and asked, "Do you want to live? If so, tell them that this guy killed everyone here. Those words will save your life." Snapping back to the present, she hissed, "I kept my end of the deal. So why the hell did you come looking for me? Are you here to silence me? Because of you, the company is watching my every move. Do you have any idea how exhausting my life is right now?" I calmly explained that I wasn't actually looking for her. Besides, that little bit of pressure is the least you can handle. After all, I saved your life. That's the only reason you're even sitting here eating lunch right now. Eun-sung looked at me like I was insane. You have no idea what kind of hellhole this school is. You don't even know who I really am. Do you honestly think an outsider like you can actually survive in a place like this? I just grinned. Well, you can just help me out, right? You're stuck in the same boat now anyway. Annoyed, she snapped back, "And why exactly should I help you?" My voice dropped, completely cold. "I'll be counting on you from now on, Lee Yuna." Her eyes widened in pure shock. How the hell did he know her real name? But when she snapped her head around, I was already gone. Soon after, the school sports festival kicked off. The guy known as Glory High's Usain Bolt suddenly realized his track career was effectively over today. And it was all because of the new transfer student. After getting absolutely dusted in the race, the guy huddled in a corner, sobbing into his hands. Next up was the vision test. The whole class stared at me, completely baffled. Was this dude raised out on the open plains or something? Because my eyesight tested at a perfect 6.0. Later on was the advanced fruit peeling class. I grabbed a paring knife. My hands were a little rusty, but I still managed to carve the fruit into a cute little bunny. During regular classes, 3 delinquents were aggressively mocking the teacher. "We just don't want to clean up. What the hell are you gonna do about it, you useless piece of trash? What, you gonna throw a tantrum? Deduct some points? You call yourself a teacher, emotionally abusing your students like this? Do you want to lose your teaching license?" The teacher was shaking with anger. "Watch your mouths, or I'll expel you for violating a teacher's authority." But the punks just sneered. "Oh yeah? Well, we're just defending our student rights." They threatened to drag the teacher to court and get his license permanently revoked. One of them even whipped out his phone, planning to film the teacher losing his temper and post it on TikTok. Oh man, this is gonna get so many views. Right then, they finally noticed me, the new transfer student. So-called assassin. The 3 thugs glared at me, viciously telling me to get the hell out of their way. "And what if I don't?" I asked. One of the guys scoffed, hawking a loogie right onto my clothes. He laughed in my face. "Listen here, assassin, if you don't want to end up dead, you'd better scurry off like a good little rat. Or just die quietly, this guy's punches are way too slow." The other 2 punks were still laughing at him for missing every single punch. The guy swinging his fists was totally confused, too. Why the hell can't I land a hit? He cursed. Meanwhile, another punk grabbed a brick and tried to sneak attack me. But the very next second, the brick in his hand crumbled into dust. Moments later, all 3 of them were obediently apologizing to the teacher. Even as they ran away backward, they didn't forget to yell, "Just you wait." Well, victory always belongs to justice. I asked the teacher if he was okay, but he actually scolded me, saying that as a student, I shouldn't be fighting right in front of him. I bent down to pick up the phone those 3 idiots left behind. The teacher asked, "Is your name Soon Ji-yu?" But before he even finished his sentence, a sharp slicing sound suddenly cut through the air. The teacher chuckled. "I knew it. I've got a great eye for people. You're no ordinary kid. The proof is right there in your cup. You didn't spill a single drop of coffee while fighting." He then asked me, "Tell me, Soon Ji-yu, where exactly did you learn to fight like that?" "Wait, no. What did you learn it for?" I told him I wanted revenge. Revenge against you people at Glory who ruined my life. Of course, I couldn't say that out loud. So, I made up a fake enemy who supposedly took everything from me. Hearing this, the teacher looked at me seriously and asked, Kim Soon-ji-yu, do you want to join the service club? I'd been waiting for this exact moment for a long time, waiting for this teacher to finally approach me. I could feel his eyes watching me from the shadows all along. Teacher Lee Kwang-gyu, or, to be more accurate, Glory's assassin instructor. He introduced me to the assassin training class hidden inside the new Glory High School. It operated under the disguise of a service club, and only a chosen few were allowed in. You'll learn the survival skills of an assassin there, he told me. Kim Soon-ji-yu, it's incredibly rare for us to take in a transfer student. The road ahead will be full of thorns. But anyway, welcome to the club. So this was the service club that trained Glory's assassins. Looking around, I couldn't help but doubt it. Was this really a place for training killers? The instructor clapped his hands and told everyone to gather around. He announced that I was the newest member of the club. Lee Yuna was absolutely shocked, thinking to herself, what the hell is this guy doing here? She prayed silently, hoping I'd just pretend not to know her. I gave her a little wink. That immediately sent her into a panic. Oh my god, is that a signal that he's going to kill me? She freaked out. I introduced myself to the class, thinking how weird it was that such an ordinary-looking place was actually a secret base for assassins. But right then, two guys decided to pick a fight with me. They claimed that this place was strictly for kids who grew up in the Glory orphanage. They were pissed that the instructor let someone in through the back door. These two were the Dokgo brothers from Glory Orphanage's 58th generation. The older brother, specialized in high-speed movements, and the younger brother, also from the 58th generation, was an expert in superhuman brute force. I was honestly speechless. I mean, I'm technically from the orphanage's very first generation. The instructor suggested throwing a quick welcome party. The students got excited and decided to make some fruit punch. Using the new kid's flesh as the main ingredient, the Dokgo brothers pushed through the crowd to welcome me personally. Fearing for their lives, Lee Yuna begged them to stop. But the younger Dokgo brother just sneered at her, telling her to back off unless she wanted to get a beating too. They turned to me and asked, Hey, transfer student, have you ever fought on the streets? Were you some kind of big shot boss in Mappo or something? Man, I couldn't even remember how many times I had fought in my life. The Dokgo brothers warned me to brace myself, because today was going to be the very last time I'd ever throw a punch. The older brother said coldly, This isn't a playground for street thugs like your local Mappo bosses. You don't belong here, trash like you will never understand what we're risking our lives for. His younger brother quickly chimed in, We're doing this to become the strongest assassins in the world, just like him. And the him they were talking about was none other than the Apostle Badro. That's why the Dokgo brothers absolutely despise guys who get in through connections. The three of us spaced out. Honestly, I couldn't even be bothered to listen to them taking turns talking trash. So, just come at me together, I said. The Dokgo brothers looked at me like I had a total death wish. They furiously yelled, You little nepa baby. You have no idea what kind of hell we've been through. But honestly my past 65 years have been heavier than anyone else's. A moment later, the other students started cheering, praising the Dokgo brothers for a job well done. The transfer student couldn't even fight back. They completely scared him off. As I was walking away, I heard someone call out. Lee Yuna asked, Are you looking down on the service department? She had been watching closely the whole time, so she noticed something when I fought the Dokgo brothers. I didn't put any strength into my punches. I quickly made up an excuse, saying, I was giving it my all. But Lee Yuna knew I was lying right to her face. The dead giveaway? The difference in how the three of us looked. You haven't even broken a single drop of sweat. Lee Yuna demanded to know why. You sneak into this school and hide your true strength. What exactly are you after? What kind of scheme are you plotting? I didn't say a word, just stared back at her. It's time to hit the cafeteria, I gotta go. Lee Yuna looked completely dumbfounded. It's 12 o'clock at night. Meanwhile, at the City A bus terminal a bus driver was dancing with joy because someone had just dropped 1,000,001 to charter his whole bus. But then, he started to feel like something was a little off. He had definitely received a group booking for today, so why was there only one passenger? The driver asked, Where is everyone else? The guy replied that it was just him. I just have a lot of luggage, he said. The driver eagerly stepped up to help load the bags. But suddenly, the driver noticed something weird. The passenger slapped his hand away and smirked. Wanna make a bet? Guess what's inside this suitcase? A little while later, the bus started its engine. The driver didn't take the bet, but he was absolutely certain his eyes weren't playing tricks on him. That suitcase just now, it was definitely moving. Listen up, we've got a commission, the instructor announced. The client is Chairman Choi Eun-chong of the Daya Group. He's one of Glory's biggest sponsors. Whichever team successfully pulls off this mission will get a direct recommendation from the chairman, and instantly earn their service license. In other words, you'll officially become an assassin. As for the mission itself, a hostage rescue. Lately, there's been a string of kidnappings targeting students. But here's the catch, one of the victims is Chairman Choi's only son. One of the students raised a hand. For something like finding the chairman's kid. Shouldn't they just call the cops? Fair point, but the instructor knew the real deal. Chairman Choi wanted revenge. Alright, sign-ups start right now, the instructor declared. If you pass on this, you'll be stuck training here for another 2 years. A chance to become a full-fledged assassin. Still handing such a massive case to a bunch of students? It definitely felt a little sketchy. Just then, a voice scoffed. Why don't you all just rot here forever? The Dokgo brothers immediately shot their hands up, volunteering for the mission. Suddenly, they spotted something hilarious and burst out laughing. Turns out, the Nepa baby and the loser were signing up too. Soon enough, only the volunteers were left in the classroom. Strangely, the instructor wasn't in any rush to move out. Instead, he told everyone to just go ahead and have fun first. I was so confused. Were we seriously supposed to pull off a hostage rescue at an amusement park? The Dokgo brothers just couldn't wrap their heads around it. Why on earth was Yuram wearing a bikini to an amusement park? Lee Yuna was totally speechless. Hey, turn your eyes back around. She snapped. The instructor cut in, saying this was the exact location where Chairman Choi's son was kidnapped. Our mission is to rescue the hostage, he explained. And then, take down the kidnappers. Other than that, the only lead we have is that the chairman's son was last seen at a place called Blue World. As for where he is right now, or if he's even still alive, in a place this massive we have absolutely no clue where to start looking. But Lee Yuna couldn't help but wonder, did Kim Sun-ji-yu actually have a plan for a mess like this? Otherwise, how could he act like he already figured everything out? Meanwhile, the park staff was busy apologizing to the guests. Because apparently, you can only get on this ride if you booked it online in advance. Since it was our first time ever at an amusement park, how the hell were we supposed to know that was a thing? The younger Dokgo brother scoffed at Lee Yuna. Are you just here to mess around? You actually made a reservation? Zero self-awareness as an assassin, seriously, but in the blink of an eye, the Dokgo brothers were already having the time of their lives. They were totally hyped, trying out things they'd never done before. Lee Yuna couldn't help but roll her eyes at their absolute hypocrisy. The guy running the shooting gallery was laying it on thick. This is super easy, guys. I'm practically giving these prizes away at a loss, you know? But deep down he was thinking something else. These two total suckers will never knock them down, because he had secretly attached heavy lead weights to the bottom of the dolls. Thanks to these 2 easy marks, he'd be packing up and heading home early today. Lee Yuna was actually struggling a bit simply because it was her first time handling a fake gun like this. But the owner was quickly left totally dumbfounded. He actually got his wish to close up early, just not the way he expected. I kept an eye on different parts of the park. Everyone seemed so incredibly thrilled. After all, it was probably their first time at a theme park too, since they went through the exact same dark past that I did. They should just enjoy this rare chance to the fullest. After all, we never know when we'll ever be able to smile this happily again. Meanwhile, Lee Yuna, who was hiding out and secretly stuffing her face with snacks, finally remembered the actual mission. Right then, her phone picked up an AirPod signal, and Choi Eun-gil was the chairman's kidnapped son, which meant he could be right nearby. But Lee Yuna thought it was pretty weird. Why on earth would the location be inside the women's restroom? She decided to sneak in and scope things out first, before making the call for backup. The restroom looked completely normal, but the signal was definitely coming from that person over there. To avoid any unnecessary drama, Lee Yuna forced a smile and geared up to ask her politely. Excuse me, where did you get those AirPods? The woman instantly let out a blood-curdling scream. Her boyfriend came rushing in to see what was going on. The woman instantly pointed and yelled to him. That crazy bitch is trying to hit me. Lee Yuna frantically waved her hands, trying to explain it was all a huge misunderstanding. The woman told her boyfriend not to get physical, just force her to apologize. But the tough guy still wanted to land a few punches on Lee Yuna first. Not too far away, the other 3 guys were wondering, where did she sneak off to stuff her face this time? The Dokgo brothers were getting slightly worried that something bad might have happened to her. Even though I couldn't see Lee Yuna, I honestly didn't think she'd be in any kind of danger worth worrying about. Sure enough, Lee Yuna already had the guy locked in a brutal chokehold. She was literally about to jam her lollipop straight into his ear before suddenly remembering she couldn't do that in public. Lee Yuna glared at the terrified woman. Now start talking. Where exactly did you get those earbuds? Out in the park, people were whispering and staring at some handsome guy. Just then, Lee Yuna came sprinting over. She quickly explained that she tracked down this exact spot using Choi Eun-gil's AirPods. Looks like her target and mine were the exact same place. In a crowded park full of prying eyes like this, there are very few ways to make someone vanish without a trace. But this specific ride, the Escape the Ghost Room attraction, yet not a single soul was walking inside. It was just an incredibly ordinary-looking haunted house. Together we pushed open the heavy front doors. Dokgo brothers turned dead serious. Playtime is officially over. Everyone, stay completely focused. You two just stick close behind us. Lee Yuna glared at the 2 absolute idiots, and told them to let go of her clothes first. Something feels really off about this. It's way too quiet in here. I warned everyone to brace themselves for whatever was coming. Our mission officially starts right now. And honestly, we're already halfway to success. Because right from the start our actual mission was to get kidnapped. Meanwhile, the instructor at Glory School was frantically trying to abort the mission. The liaison was totally confused about what was going on. The instructor had just received word that this was no longer a simple training exercise. Park Sang-doo had shown up. That psycho, the guy who was once nominated to be an apostle candidate. But even Glory couldn't control him, so they kicked him out. The liaison brushed it off with confidence. The kids on this mission aren't idiots. They've learned everything they need to know. What's the worst that could happen? But the instructor knew that guy was built differently. The liaison stared in pure shock as the instructor slowly rolled up his pant leg. At that exact moment, inside the haunted house, Lee Yuna and I were tied up tight. Park Sang-doo looked at us with a twisted smile. Do you kids even know what kind of drug I used to knock you out? But normally, when ordinary people pass out they sleep with their mouths wide open, don't they? Back at the school, the instructor revealed his prosthetic leg, his voice dropping low. We have to stop Park Sang-doo right now. He is an incredibly ruthless bastard. Once that psychopath gets his hands on you, your legs are getting chopped off. Just then, Lee Yuna's phone started ringing. Park Sang-doo glanced at the familiar name on the screen and swiped to answer. The instructor's voice was deadly cold. If you dare touch a single hair on their heads, I'll bet my life on hunting you down and killing you. Park Sang-doo practically chirped his greeting. Well, hello there, Kwang Kyu Sunbae. Come on, don't be so dramatic. You're scaring me. What's the matter? Are you afraid I'm gonna turn them into pathetic cripples just like you, Sunbae? Hey, how about a little wager? Let's bet on whether, by the time you finally drag yourself over here, they'll actually have any legs left. The liaison stared, completely not understanding why the instructor was violently shaking. Meanwhile, the Dokgo brothers, who hadn't been tied up yet, were loudly screaming for the criminal to show himself. Park Sang-doo smirked into the phone. You'd better hurry up and get here, Sunbae. After all, I'm about to get to work. Over in the corner, Lee Yuna desperately whispered, Kim Soon-ji-yu. She saw my mouth hanging open and panicked. Is he actually fast asleep? She thought. Seriously, how can he be so completely oblivious right now? Left with no other choice, she made her move. Honestly, I had no idea what she was trying to do. Because I hadn't been asleep at all, not even for a second. Lee Yuna quickly hissed, don't get the wrong idea. I only did that to wake you up. She then told me to do exactly as she did. Using the escape techniques we'd learned in training. It was cute, but I had already broken out of my restraints quite a while ago. Because I fully planned on stepping in the second things went south. Lee Yuna looked at me dead serious. Listen to me very carefully. That guy just now used to be a killer for Glory. I just looked at her calmly and asked, Hey, Yuna, are you a betting person? Elsewhere, the Dokgo brothers couldn't believe it. The so-called criminal just looked like some average office worker. They sneered, stepping up to threaten him. Listen here, old man, if you don't want to die today, you better tell us exactly where Choi Eun-chang's son is. Park Sang-doo just chuckled. He absolutely loved it when arrogant brats talked trash to him. He grinned wildly. Wanna make a bet, boys? If you win, I'll give you everything you're asking for. I'll even hand over Choi Eun-chang's son, safe and sound. On the other end of the line, the instructor was panicking hard. Because he knew the terrifying truth. You can never, ever win a bet against that psychopath. Park Sang-doo's smile widened. But if you lose, you're both leaving a leg behind before you go. The older Dokgo brother scoffed. Are you really sure about that, old man? Because starting tomorrow you're gonna be rolling around in a wheelchair. With a flick of his wrist, Park Sang-doo tossed a knife straight to the brother. A bet is only fun when it's fair, right? He laughed. The older brother caught it and let out a cold sneer. You're gonna regret this, a juicy. After all, he was the undisputed #1 knife fighter among the new Glory recruits. The brother quickly sized him up. With equal weapons, this old guy's movements are way too sluggish compared to mine. If I just drag this out into a war of attrition, I win easily. But suddenly the older brother realized something was very, very wrong. They were holding the exact same type of knife, but the weapon in his hand felt entirely different. Park Sang-doo tilted his head, feigning innocence. What's the matter, kiddo? Is there a problem? The older brother finally realized what that shameless bastard had done. His knife didn't even have a sharpened edge. Right at that moment, Lee Yuna and I rushed onto the scene to back them up, but the older Dokgo brother threw his arm out, stopping us dead in our tracks. He roared, Stay out of this. This fight is between us. If the two of us brothers can't take this old man down, you guys wouldn't stand a chance anyway. The Dokgo brothers knew full well that the old man standing before them had no idea what they were truly after. The final trial to graduate from the orphanage was Hell Week. They had to survive for 1 whole month in a wasteland with absolutely no food or water. Their only supplies were a single gun and 1 bullet. And with just that, they had to survive in a brutal environment swarming with thousands of vicious beasts. Everyone used that single bullet for completely different reasons. Some used it to hunt for food, some used it to betray their friends, and others used it to end their own lives. But the Dokgo brothers were fueled by sheer pride. Rather than dying a pathetic death, they chose to fight tooth and nail to stay alive. The two of them saved their bullet until the bitter end, because deep down, they had a gut feeling that one day, this very bullet would decide both of their fates. It wasn't until Hell Week was finally over that the Dokgo brothers learned the truth. Out of the 181 orphans in the 58th batch, only 2 had passed, and right after that, they heard a piece of news that shook them to their core. Badro, the legendary apostle killer who was the exact same age as them, had left behind a record that no one could ever touch. In the entire 58-year history of Hell Week training, he was the only person who never fired his bullet. Driven by the burning desire to be just like Badro to become the absolute strongest assassins, Dokgo brothers had poured out at least 10 grueling years of their lives. In their eyes, this old man standing in front of them was nothing more than a stepping stone. In a flash, the younger Dokgo brother locked Park Sang-doo in a tight grip. The older brother had already warned him, he was going to make the old man regret ever handing over that blade. But Park Sang-doo let out a sinister chuckle. Hey, shouldn't I be chopping off this arm instead of your legs? The older brother let go of the blade, knowing full well he didn't have the leverage to strike. Since he couldn't get a clean slash in, he left it to his younger brother to deliver the fatal thrust. The younger brother lunged forward, thrusting the blade with all his might. But Park Sang-doo just coldly asked, "You really think you can become an assassin like Badro? In your fucking dreams." Younger brother froze in sheer panic. The old man had just shattered his blade. This wasn't some cheap toy, it was an E-class tactical machete, a genuine kukri. Its density and weight were 3 times that of a normal blade. And Park Sang-doo had spent his entire life mastering it. This thing swung faster than a sword and hit harder than a battle axe. It was an absolute weapon of death. Pair that with Park Sang-doo's lethal mastery of Kali martial arts, and he was nothing short of a human meat grinder. The brothers were completely caught off guard. They never imagined he could wield such a massive blade with that kind of terrifying speed. Reality finally set in. This wasn't just some ordinary office worker. He was an absolute, undisputed monster. Right before they lost consciousness, the brothers desperately screamed at Lee Yuna and Jaeon Sun Ji-yu to run for their lives. Park Sang-doo smirked, telling Lee Yuna to stop screaming like a maniac. Come on now, why would I ever go hard on a bunch of kids? But hey, a bet's a bet, right? Gotta see it through to the end. So how about you each leave me a leg? The instructor on the other end of the phone roared in panic. No. Stop. I'll give you my other leg, just take mine. Please, I'm begging you, don't touch them. But right at that moment, a calm voice cut through the tension. Hey, Park Sang-doo, wanna make a bet? Let's double the stakes. 2 legs and an arm. Hell, throw your life on the line too, if you've got the guts. Park Sang-doo just smiled creepily. Well, looks like an interesting bunch showed up today. As expected from the so-called glorious ones. Saying that, he tossed a blade right at my feet. A bet's only fun when it's fair, he smirked. I raised a hand, stopping Lee Yuna from trying to hold me back. Casually picking up some junk off the floor, I looked right at him. Keep it, this metal tray is more than enough for me. Park Sang-doo burst into laughter. He threw his head back and howled, oh, now this is just priceless. But listen here, kid, I'm not gonna go easy on you just because you're a little young blood. Park Sang-doo launched a fiercely aggressive offensive. He sneered at me mockingly as he attacked. How many strikes do you really think that cheap silver tray can block? You better pray it holds up against even one slash. Back on the other end of the line, the instructor suddenly couldn't hear anything but a sharp burst of static. Panic seized him. He couldn't let what happened that day repeat itself. He absolutely could not let history repeat itself. Letting everyone die at Park Sang-doo's hands. That day, Park Sang-doo told the dealer lady to relax. He asked her if she wanted to make a bet. A bet on whether I'd walk out of here dead or alive. But if I were you, sweetheart, I bet everything on me. Lee Guangyu, an elite assassin from Glory, declared Park Sang-doo. You've caused way too much trouble lately. The only way to calm everyone down is to sacrifice you. From Glory's point of view, this is a squad of veteran assassins, all ranked B or higher. No matter how badass Park Sang-doo was, taking on 5 B rank assassins all at once should be totally impossible, but the way Lee Guangyu saw it, the way that guy swung his blade, it was far beyond anything human. And that very day marked the bitter end of Lee Guangyu's career as a killer. It didn't matter if a chainsaw was stronger than a sword. What really mattered was who was holding it. Park Sang-doo smirked. You've got some good luck, kid. But what are you gonna do now? Your only shield just got chopped right in half. Seeing things go south, Lee Yuna desperately looked for a chance to help. Kukri isn't supposed to be a razor-sharp weapon, but it cut way deeper than I ever imagined. Honestly, it freaked me out for a second. Without hesitating, I gripped the broken tray in my hand. Lee Yuna gasped. Wait, that tray wasn't a shield, it was a blade? Thanks to Park Sang-doo, I just scored a seriously wicked weapon. Park Sang-doo chuckled. Guess you're not just some average high schooler, huh? He thought to himself in shock. Was that just a fluke? I know I aimed that strike perfectly, but he backed away right at the last possible second. That's completely absurd. Park Sang-doo had no idea where the kid Picked up those cheap tricks, but they sure as hell weren't gonna work on him. Whether it was luck or pure skill, I guess I'll just have to test it out. Park Sang-doo whipped his jacket out as a distraction, launching right into a brutal, lightning-fast assault. He was dead sure the strike would land this time, but as his target vanished, pure confusion washed over his eyes. Park Sang-doo definitely felt his blade hit something. Wait, did I just slice this stupid cushion? A freezing flash of steel grazed Park Sang-doo's neck. He scrambled backward in absolute terror. Park Sang-doo knew he had just narrowly escaped death. That little punk warped right behind me, and went straight for my throat without a second thought. If I hadn't blocked it with my hand, my carotid artery would have been sliced wide open. Such flawless, deadly execution made Park Sang-doo seriously question if this guy was actually a student. Suddenly, it hit him. With that makeshift tray knife, he couldn't cut through my thick clothes, and he couldn't block my blade either. That's exactly why he aimed straight for my exposed neck. And to top it off, he did it with a speed I couldn't even track. Forget being a student, is this monster even human? Lee Yuna caught on quickly. Because the kukri was so insanely heavy, every single time it swung, it would absolutely smash everything around it. One direct hit, and you're dead. That old guy was way slower than Kim Soon-ji-yu. It had to be because of the blade's massive weight. If this turned into a drawn-out war of attrition, Lee Yuna was dead certain that Kim Soon-ji-yu would win. Suddenly, a bloody gash ripped across my face. Lee Yuna gasped in shock. Kim Soon-ji-yu had actually taken a hit. Park Sang-doo sneered coldly. You use a butcher's knife to slaughter a cow, but to deal with a little rat you need a rat catcher's blade. He had a hidden blade right inside his sword. I knew perfectly well that Park Sang-doo's kukri was 3 times the mass and weight of a normal blade. Now that the bastard had ditched all that extra weight, speed wasn't just my advantage anymore. Park Sang-doo's attacks grew violently aggressive. Lee Yuna watched in sheer panic. That old guy, he's fighting like a completely different person now. But something felt off to her. That spike-like weapon was obviously meant for stabbing. So why was Park Sang-doo just swinging it around wildly? Park Sang-doo quickly adjusted his angle. He wanted to kill the bastard standing right in front of him. But that lethal strike he prepared just froze in midair. Park Sang-doo was absolutely stunned. Why couldn't he move his hand? I looked at him and asked, what's wrong? Can't feel your hand anymore, can you? Park Sang-doo finally realized the horrifying truth. This guy, he never intended to slice his throat. From the very beginning, his real target was his hand. I spoke calmly. Flexor muscles, extensors, adductors, the median nerve, the ulnar nerve, every single muscle you need to grip a weapon, every nerve, and every ligament. I just severed them all for you. I never even planned on killing you, not from the very start. Park Sang-doo couldn't wrap his head around it. The guy standing right in front of him wasn't just some student, and definitely not some kid. Just how many lives had this monster devoured? Park Sang-doo had just bragged that a cheap metal tray could never beat a real iron blade. Well, to wrap things up, I was about to show him exactly what happens when a bug picks a fight with a boot. Most of Park Sang-doo's memories from the past were just of him getting brutally bullied. Those punks would laugh while pissing on him. Every single day, he fantasized about slaughtering those bastards. But he never had the strength or the guts to fight back. Just when he was ready to end it all and leave this world, voice whispered, "Wanna make a bet with me?" Those words made his heart pound out of his chest. His weak, trembling legs moved on their own, pulling him back from the very edge of the cliff. He still didn't understand why he reacted that way, but one thing was crystal clear. Betting his own life made him feel invincible. Dopamine, serotonin, and adrenaline rushed through his veins. Every time he put his life on the line, he felt this insane rush of absolute power. Gambling became his ultimate addiction. And in every bet after that, he won. He became the strongest. But right now, he was getting beaten to a pulp by someone who looked like a wet behind the ears kid. "Get on your knees," he roared, "or I swear to God I'll blow this whole place to hell." Chairman Choi Eun-chang's son was stuffed inside those suitcases. If that grenade actually went off, every single person here would die. The ceiling was wired directly to the main gas lines. "Kneel down if you don't want to die with me," he screamed. I just scoffed. "Try it, big guy, if you even can." I casually reminded him that I had already pulled the pin from that grenade. "Better bite down hard on it if you don't want to blow up." Now that's how you make a real threat. I kept raining punches down on him. Honestly, he was clenching that grenade pretty damn well with his jaw. I finally shoved the pin back in and told him to get up. "We're not done here yet. I didn't want it to come to this," he screamed. Lee Yuna gasped, wondering what insane thing he was about to do now. But instead he dropped straight to his knees and begged me. He literally pleaded to just call it a draw. Just then, the instructor burst into the room and froze at the impossible scene in front of him. The once untouchable, arrogant Park Sang-doo was now groveling like a pathetic dog. And just like that, it was over. Chairman Choi Eun-chang's son, along with the other hostages, were safely rescued. As for Park, he was dragged straight to Glory headquarters. Lee Guang-young still couldn't believe it. The walking nightmare that ruined his career as an assassin was dead. A bunch of mere students had actually pulled it off. even though he noticed a lot of things that didn't quite add up. The people involved straight up denied everything, so he just kept his mouth shut. Thanks to that chaotic mission, the four of us officially became licensed assassins. We took down a presumed S-class target. And what do we get? Crappy D-class licenses. As the elevator doors slowly slid open, what stepped out to meet us? There stood two massive, long-haired guys. The Dokgo brothers looked like they had stepped into the wrong place. They hurriedly tried to close the doors and leave, but right then, a woman stepped out to welcome them. "We've been expecting you," she said. The Dokgo brothers quickly held the elevator doors open. She explained, "Since you were the ones who trained young Master Unjae of the Dea group, the chairman specifically ordered us to treat you all as VIPs. After a grand meal and getting fitted for premium custom suits, the woman led the group to the main event. She explained that the Dea group was a defense contractor, possessing the world's most cutting-edge technology. They were also the ones who supplied the Assassins of Glory with all their combat gear. To congratulate you on officially becoming full-fledged assassins, the chairman said you can take as many weapons as you would like." The Dokgo brothers scoffed arrogantly. "Since when do we ever need guns to fight? This is more than enough for us." The woman's sweat dropped. I will just have them shipped to you." Meanwhile, Lee Yuna spotted a gorgeous Damascus steel blade. There were even ones made of S30V steel. She really wanted to grab one for herself. But then she remembered how utterly useless she had been that day. She felt like she didn't deserve something so high-end. The woman turned to him. "Mr. Kim Sun-ji-yu, have you made your choice?" "I just grabbed a fountain pen. Honestly, I have already used every single weapon here before." Suddenly, the woman's phone started ringing. She listened to the orders, then turned back. "Mr. Kim, could you please follow me to the chairman's office?" Her task was completed shortly after. The chairman of Dea Group, Choi Eun-chong, gave a warm smile. "Welcome, student Kim Sun-ji-yu." Sun-ji-yu replied, "I assume you called me here for a reason?" Choi Eun-chong spoke calmly. "I don't have any hidden agenda. There is no need to be so tense. Actually, no, it makes perfect sense that you would be tense." Choi Eun-chong leaned in. "Tell me, Kim Sun-ji-yu, how is it that you look exactly like Badro?" Back in 1978, the son of the Dea Group's chairman, Choi Eun-chong, was kidnapped by forces from Country H. Country H demanded that Country F's Dea Group hand over their newly developed missiles. Desperate, the chairman pleaded with the government. They deployed their most elite units, including Delta Force, straight into City B. But the forces of Country H were no joke. The entire Delta Force squad was completely wiped out. Driven into a corner, the former chairman of Dea Group had only one place left to go. The Sacred Glory Church. The chairman begged the Holy Father to save his son. "The Dea Group will grant you absolutely anything you desire," he cried. "Please, just send the strongest of your 12 apostles. Bring my boy back." The Holy Father replied with absolute calm. "Everything unfolds according to the Lord's will. So, just pray, for the Lord's missile has already touched down in City B." The chairman asked, trembling, can he really do it? 3 entire special forces units were just slaughtered out there. Even if he is an apostle, what can just one man? The father cut him off smoothly. "He can do it. Even if he is completely alone, he will succeed. Because my son is the absolute strongest." Meanwhile, the men from Country H were freaking out over how the hell this guy got inside. A young Badro spoke in fluent Country H dialect. Perfect fit. The very next second, the guy who just spoke got his head blown off. Badro cleared the train car at a terrifying, inhuman speed. Every single gunshot meant another dead body hitting the floor. When he said perfect fit, he meant the numbers. The exact number of Country H soldiers matched the exact number of bullets in his gun. Just then, a man stepped out from the front car, screaming in Country H dialect. "Drop the weapon. Unless you want me to blow your precious young master's brains out, drop the damn gun right now." This soldier from Country H had heard the rumors before. The legend of a monster who could infiltrate absolutely anywhere, completely alone, and make it out alive. "That monster, it's you, isn't it? Apostle Badro." Suddenly, Badro spoke up, calling out a name. "Choi Eun-chong. When I count to 3, duck." The Country H soldier raged. "What the hell are you mumbling about? Speak our language, you bastard." But Badro had already counted down to 2. The moment 3 left his lips, a coin appeared in his hand. In a flash, Badro flicked it, sending the coin shooting forward like a bullet. The blade pierced straight between the target's eyebrows. Badro murmured coldly in H language, "Rest in peace." Lieutenant Colonel Andreev of the Overseas Intelligence Bureau was dead. Young Choi Eun-chong looked up in gratitude. The man standing before him, the one who had just saved his life. He swore he would never forget this debt of gratitude. But Badro corrected him. "I didn't come here to save you. I came to save the future of the Dea Group. If you understand, get on your feet. It's a long walk home, after all." Thanks to Badro, Choi Eun-chong survived. And now, 40 years later, he still hasn't forgotten his savior's face. He looked at me and asked, "You're Badro's grandson, aren't you?" I was honestly a bit speechless. It had been a long time since I felt this on edge. But man, that weak little kid has really turned into a big shot. Choyun Chang mentioned he heard about me picking nothing but a fountain pen from the armory. He said that whatever my reasons were, he couldn't just let his savior's grandson leave empty-handed. It's just a small token, but please take it, he insisted. This is the culmination of the legacy your grandfather saved all those years ago. The crowning achievement of Dea Group's technology, the St. Petrus V4. It's equipped with the most powerful engine our company has ever built. Its top speed hits an unofficial world record of 527.21 kilometers per hour. Plus, it has a stealth mode that jams all signals, keeping you completely off the grid from GPS and traffic cameras. You can carry out your missions with total freedom. I tried to tell him this really wasn't necessary. The Dokgo brothers groaned, "Man, you're being such a baby about this." Then they turned and asked, "Hey, miss, can we return this thing?" Unsurprisingly, they were turned down flat. I rolled my eyes. What are you guys just standing there for? Get in the damn car already. Of course, the younger Dokgo brother immediately started grumbling again. Instructor Lee Kwang-kyu suddenly called. He told us, "The veteran members of Glory want to meet you guys. After all, you're the first special recruits we've taken in 4 years. They're definitely curious. Go show them that fiery young blood of yours." The instructor cheered. I had no choice but to drive way below the speed limit so the Dokgo brothers could keep up. Then he hung up, eager to go announce that the monster rookies were on their way. This was the western branch of the Glory Syndicate, the Hapjeong Glory Church. The Dokgo brothers sighed dramatically. Being this popular is so exhausting. But honestly, they both looked totally hyped. Alright, let's head inside. So, this was the place. The place where revelations were handed down. This was where the Assassins of Glory were assigned targets based on their rank. They called it receiving a revelation. The assassins would kneel in prayer, and the priest would bless them with absolute victory. Lee Yuna watched in awe. Wow, so that's how real assassins get their missions. I was honestly just as surprised. I had no idea this was how the lower-ranked grunts operated. The Dokgo brothers eagerly checked the revelation slip the priest handed them, but it only had 2 words scrawled on it. Fight us. The priest gave a twisted smile. We don't hand out missions to fresh meat, but we do have a special offering of delicious holy blood for you. And in the next second, he splashed the entire cup of holy blood right in the older Dokgo brother's face. How does it taste? The priest mocked. We've been waiting for you D-rank pieces of trash to show up. The older Dokgo brother just wiped his face and let out a dark chuckle. You know, some people really just have to taste the pain to understand. Are you one of those people, old man? With that, the fight officially broke out. Rank doesn't mean a damn thing, the Dokgo brothers sneered. And we sure as hell aren't going to go easy on you just because you're old. The cultist scoffed. You clueless D-rank garbage. You're completely pathetic. The older Dokgo brother replied coldly, of course we don't know our place. After all, we weren't born to stay as D-rank grunts. We're the Dokgo brothers, the future S-rank apostles. He glared at them. And you cocky little B-rank nobodies are really starting to piss us off. The other assassins murmured among themselves. These new kids actually looked pretty tough. Lee Yuna quickly noticed the difference. They were overflowing with confidence. Driven by that ego, the Dokgo brothers were fighting even fiercer than they did against Park Sang-doo. The cultist blinked, completely thrown off. What the hell? Where did the other brat go? But before he could react, a hand shot out from behind and viciously grabbed the cultist by the ankles. Are you looking for me? Older Dokgo sneered. Then he roared, little bro. Younger Dokgo leapt into the air with a heavy punch. The disciple just scoffed. Is it your dream to become Badro? I thought the exact same thing when I was your age. Since I need to teach our future stars a lesson in real combat, I'll stop screwing around. Younger Dokgo's hand was pierced straight through. Older Dokgo was taken down seconds later. Lee Yuna stepped forward to stop him, but a B-class assassin from the Glory stepped in. It was rank 33, Zhang Guanzhang. So, how does it feel seeing a real killer in action? He mocked. That guy busted his ass his whole life just to reach B-class. For a normal assassin, getting that far is like plucking a star from the sky. In the Glory, D-class assassins usually handle hits on ordinary people. There are 336 of them. C-class mainly deals with the underworld and armed groups, totaling 200. B-class mostly handles conflicts between assassins, with about 100 members. A-class assassins execute national-level hits. There are only 30 of them. Once you become an assassin, your hands are stained with blood for life. They tear themselves apart trying to reach the top of the Glory. And even if they sacrifice everything to claw their way to A-class, reaching S-class is a whole different beast. Hard work alone will never get you there. That realm belongs to the 12 disciples at the absolute pinnacle. The disciple smirked at them. Hey kids, want me to tell you the secret to becoming an apostle? Just die and be born again. The disciple slammed his fist brutally into older Dokgo's head. He told these delusional rookies to go cry to their dead mommies. Lee Yuna was horrified. Even so, there was no need to beat them half to death. Just then, Zhang Guanzhang recognized Lee Yuna. "Oh, you're pal So-in's old sidekick." He sneered, "You don't have the skills or the right to be an assassin." It's so pathetic, even a stray dog would laugh. Suddenly, a hand clamped down hard on Zhang Guanzhang's arm. "Please don't cross the line, senior," I said coldly. Zhang Guanzhang panicked, realizing he couldn't break my grip. "You little punk, you wanna fight?" he barked. I remembered G1's warning about keeping a low profile. A rookie beating an A- class like Park Sang-do was absurd. With my real strength, it was only a matter of time before the glory got suspicious. If that happened, my entire revenge plan would fall apart. To catch the glory completely off guard, I had to stay hidden behind my D-class rank. "Hey, adults are talking here," Zhang Guanzhang yelled. "You cocky little bastard." I decided to just let him vent his anger. As long as he let me take them to the hospital, I didn't care. One had a stab wound, and the other was unconscious. If they didn't get medical help right now, they could die. "I'm begging you, senior," I pleaded earnestly. Zhang Guanzhang smirked, his ego stroked. "Fine, whatever, but you're not getting off that easy." He ordered us to hand over our service licenses before leaving. "Once you little babies grow up," he mocked, "be sure to come back and get them." And just like that, the four of us slinked out of the church in disgrace. Older Dokgo was completely bewildered. What the hell just happened? If we tell them we lost our licenses, Mr. Guangyu is going to rip our hair out. He then turned to Lee Yuna and Kim Sun-ji-yu, bowing his head. "I'm so sorry I couldn't protect you guys. As your team captain, I should have shown you my cool side." I shoved a helmet onto his head. "Let's just go, Captain. It's time to hit the cafeteria." The motorcycle roared down the highway at top speed. Over the wind, Lee Yuna shouted to Kim Sun-ji-yu, "What do we have to do to get stronger? Why worry about something so pointless?" I asked. Lee Yuna looked at me in disbelief. "Do you seriously not care? They literally robbed us of our licenses." I shrugged. "The strong prey on the weak. That's just how the world works. When you're weak, you have to learn to endure." Late that night, a few of the disciples were joking around. "Man, it pisses me off just thinking about fighting those trash-tier losers for a paycheck." One of them laughed, but then, their smiles vanished. The same rookies they had beaten up earlier that day were standing right there. Zhang Genzhang sneered, "Are you back for another beatdown? Or are you here to repent for sticking your neck out today?" I asked coldly, "Did it really have to go that far?" Zhang Genzhang scoffed, "You really haven't had enough, have you?" He stood up and declared, "I came here to show you something you've never seen in your entire lives. Something you will never see again in Apostles' battle." Zhang Genzhang burst out laughing, "Man, you really do see it all if you live long enough. I've been in this business for 14 years and haven't seen a single apostle. Kid, you really don't know how the real world works." He was just about to tell the cultist next to him to teach the punk a lesson, but noticed something was off. The cultist was standing frozen in place. He had sensed the danger. The guy standing in front of him was clearly just a D-rank assassin whose name he couldn't even remember. He had no cover, no weapons, just the holy rosary in his hand. His stance was full of openings, but the cultist couldn't understand what was happening. There was no way a D-rank brat could have those kinds of eyes. Zhang Genzhang asked in confusion, "What are you just standing there for? Don't tell me you're scared stiff by a little kid?" The cultist snapped back to reality, thinking to himself, "What the hell was I imagining? He's just a brat with a slightly intense glare." He said strictly, "There's an unspoken rule in this business. If you disrespect a senior or a higher-ranked assassin, the superior has the right to judge the situation and execute you on the spot." The cultist ran a simulation in his head. If I throw this book at him, the brat will probably raise his arm to block it, completely unaware that his ribs are exposed. Then, the kid will instinctively bend over to clutch where he got hit. But my target was never his ribs to begin with. It's this reckless brat's eyes. The very next second, the cultist's limbs were severed from his body. Only then did he realize that it wasn't an ordinary rosary. Then, his head was sliced off his shoulders. He violently snapped back to reality. He gripped his own neck in sheer terror. Zhang Genzhang looked at him weirdly. "Seriously, what are you doing just standing there?" The cultist clutched his throat in absolute horror. He knew he couldn't do it, because no matter how many times he played out the attack in his head, the result was always the same, being instantly slaughtered by that man. In his mind, the cultist had already died thousands of times. Having fought hundreds of battles over decades, had taught him one undeniable truth, and that was, even without throwing a single punch, his instincts screamed that the man standing before him was an absolute monster he could never defeat. He didn't understand what was happening. This wasn't just the sheer pressure of an unbeatable foe. It was an existence completely beyond his comprehension. Just the thought that he had actually slapped this man earlier today made him want to drop dead right then and there. I calmly stared at the terrified man in front of me. The moment I slightly raised my hand, he frantically began apologizing, begging me to forgive him for what happened today. But I just gently patted his cheek. I said in a cold, flat tone, "The ability to sense your own death is the most basic requirement for an assassin. In that sense, you're perfectly qualified as a senior." Back inside the church, Zhang Genjiang was still yelling at the cultist, demanding to know why he let the kid go. The cultist snapped furiously, "If you want to live, shut your damn mouth." Just then, Ji-won arrived. She was furious. "Senior, why did you come here?" She was terrified about picking a fight this early. What if our entire plan gets exposed? I told her, that won't happen. A B rank assassin losing to a mere D rank? Putting the absolute humiliation aside, it would completely ruin his reputation in the underworld. Losing to some greenhorn before even throwing a punch, I asked Ji-won, "If it were you, would you tell anyone?" Ji-won was speechless, regretting that she had rushed all the way over here out of sheer panic. And all he had to offer were smug remarks. I revved my motorcycle and rode off. The next day, Instructor Ji Guangyu was absolutely enraged. "Your service certificates are equivalent to your damn lives. How could you lunatics actually lose them?" The Dokgo brothers broke out in a cold sweat, thinking to themselves we're so dead. They scrambled in their heads, making up countless absurd excuses. Just then, a voice called out, "Hey, brats." The cultist had actually shown up. The Dokgo brothers panicked, stuttering, "Why are you back? Are you guys here for a duel again?" The cultist rolled his eyes. "You two absolute idiots. Are we in a rap battle or something? Why the hell are you talking in rhythm?" Actually, he was just there to return the service license he had snatched the day before. Dokgo brothers flexed and cheered. "Man, we thought you were a total jerk, boss, but you're actually a pretty great guy." The cultist sighed, feeling completely helpless. He didn't have a choice either. That guy, Kim Sun-ji-yu, sent shivers down his spine. The brothers respectfully bid the cultist goodbye. Now, it was time to give the license back to Lee Yuna. But I haven't seen Yuna anywhere around here. Meanwhile, inside the sparring arena, Lee Yuna was practicing her assassination strikes like a maniac. She had felt completely powerless when facing Park Sang-doo. Even back at the church, all she could do was stand on the sidelines and watch. She was furious with herself for being so useless. She was just way too weak. Yuna knew that if things kept going like this, her little brother, Eugene, would be in serious danger. I looked at her, confused. "Why are you calling yourself useless?" I handed Yuna her license back, but she felt like she didn't deserve to take it. "Is this about your brother?" I asked. "You feel useless, so you're forcing yourself to be an assassin, even though it clearly doesn't suit you. All of this is for your brother, isn't it?" Yuna snapped back, "You don't know anything. What gives you the right to say that?" Honestly, I didn't know her that well, but it wasn't like I was completely clueless either. "I know your brother isn't blood related to you, for starters." I looked her in the eye. "What exactly happened between you and him?" Back in the orphanage, Eugene was always clinging to Yuna, begging her to play. He'd always ask, "Aren't we family?" But back then, Yuna hated the word, family. Ever since she was found abandoned in a subway locker on the day she was born. She knew she didn't have one. Honestly, she probably should have just died right there in that locker. But, unfortunately for her, she was saved and dumped at the orphanage. Food and clothes were always scarce. Still, she didn't really mind. Whether it was making friends or finding a family. Yuna wanted absolutely no part of it. She refused to let herself be abandoned again. She just wanted to be left alone. She wanted to quietly leave this world as soon as possible. That was, until she got shot during a mission. The orphanage didn't have the supplies to stop the bleeding. They were completely out of blood bags. Sure, they could have sent her to Glory Hospital. But the staff decided it was easier to just toss her out. To them, Yuna was totally worthless. This right here, this was exactly why she figured it was better to have absolutely nothing from the very beginning. It was a cold, ruthless world anyway. For Yuna, dying felt more like a sweet release. But the teachers told her a miracle had happened. And right after that, miracle, Eugene vanished. The other kids told her what went down. That little guy was incredibly stubborn. The teachers tried to stop him, but he wouldn't listen. He told them he had to save his sister, even if it killed him. After letting them drain God knows how much blood from his tiny body, Eugene just asked the teacher, "Is my big sister still hurting?" Yuna had spent her whole life convinced she had no family. She never realized that she actually had a brother, watching over her from the very same place. She just couldn't understand why he would do something like that for her. Now, Eugene's condition requires expensive blood coagulants every single day. And the orphanage staff? They had already decided to cut off his treatment and kick him to the curb. Yuna desperately threw herself at the doctor. She begged the teachers, "Please, don't give up on Eugene. I'm not hurting anymore. I can work, I can make money. I'll pay all of his hospital bills. I don't care how much it costs because I'm his big sister." For the first time in her miserable life, Yuna finally had a reason to keep living. Who cares if they didn't look alike? Yuna was going to save her little brother, no matter what it took. I sighed. Looks like I'm just poking my nose where it doesn't belong. I turned to leave, figuring I'd just let her get back to her training. But then, Yuna muttered softly, "You know you're the strongest person I've ever met. Please help me get stronger." It just so happens, she and I were on the exact same page. Even though Lee Yuna was physically weak and frail by nature, not to mention a total coward, she had a seriously explosive temper. Honestly, those are the absolute worst traits for an assassin. But I knew she possessed the ultimate eyes of a killer. Right from the very start, back at the Palcho Inn restaurant during my fight with the Dokgo brothers. And even in my battle against Park Sang-doo, Lee Yuna's eyes never once left the fight. It was like she was trying to absorb every single combat technique. You know how pro baseball players who hit home runs can actually see the exact trajectory of the ball? Well, I can guarantee you, Lee Yuna's dynamic vision is definitely way better than theirs. Anyway, there was one specific weapon that could turn all her glaring weaknesses into lethal strengths. I told Yuna, if you can master this, you won't even need a real mentor to make it on your own. Because this thing will turn you into a true assassin. Lee Yuna stared at the weapon in her hands in total confusion. Meanwhile, the Dokgo brothers were excitedly sniffing their wads of cash. Since official assassins get a weekly allowance of 1 million won, they were busy daydreaming, man, if we become apostles, how much would we pull in? Probably like 10 times as much. But I knew money didn't mean a damn thing to the apostles. Because as an apostle, whatever you want, you get to have. Period. Speaking of which, we haven't seen Yuna around lately. The Dokgo brothers were 100% sure she was off working some side hustle. She's probably mopping floors right now, scrubbing away the blood and guts left behind by other assassins. Whether it was literal crap or spilled guts, Yuna never once complained about the mess. The Dokgo brothers just couldn't wrap their heads around it. We're official assassins now. Even if we just sit on our asses, we still rake in 1 million won every single week. They had no clue why Yuna was pushing herself so damn hard. But it hit me, there's no way one person could burn through that much cash alone. It seemed like her little brother was hiding some kind of dark secret. Just then, the Dokgo brothers got a text from Yuna, but they were super confused. Why the hell do we need scarves on such a warm spring day? Inside an ice factory freezing at minus 20 degrees, the Dokgo brothers shivered angrily. Why the hell did you bring us to a freezer like this? Yuna just replied coldly, to train, obviously. The brothers were curious. What, like smashing ice blocks with your bare hands or something? Yuna sighed in exasperation, showing them what she was holding. It was the rope dart I'd given her earlier. Now, the rope dart is a pretty iconic martial arts weapon. You attack by launching the blade at your enemy, unwinding the rope wrapped around your body. The power of the strike scales perfectly with the speed of the throw. And since the dart spins aggressively as it flies, the impact is absolutely devastating. But its biggest advantage? The enemy never knows when, or where, the blade is going to hit them from. The Dokgo brothers busted out laughing. What kind of secret weapon is that? You're way better off just pulling a gun. Still, even they had to admit it was pretty badass seeing it shatter such a thick block of ice into pieces with a single strike. But the brothers still insisted. Guns are just so much easier. Plus, it's a guaranteed one-shot kill. Why the hell would you waste time practicing with that? Actually, I had already explained this exact point to Yuna before. If you want to take out 5 guys with a handgun, you have to squeeze the trigger 5 separate times. But this weapon is entirely different. With enough brutal practice, and master the trajectory of the rope dart, you can wipe out an entire squad in a single, fluid motion. The Dokgo brothers were totally floored. Holy crap, she really just shattered all that ice at once. They started whispering to each other, immediately pulling up their phones to check how much a rope dart cost online. Later that evening, the factory owner, a rank D assassin sitting at number 113, Park Bingsu, asked Yuna, did your training wrap up alright? He'd seen plenty of guys come in to practice breaking ice before, but it was his very first time seeing someone like Yuna. Someone who could pulverize the blocks into pure dust. Right then, Yuna suddenly remembered, oh crap, I haven't paid for the ice yet. But Park Bingsu just waved her off. He explained, about 3 hours ago, that friend of yours came by, covered your tab, and headed out. He even dropped a cool 1 million won. Plus, he left this behind for you. It was a high-grade medical ointment meant to prevent scarring. A little while later, as Yuna walked out of the freezing factory, she pulled out her phone, wanting to call Kim Sun-ji-yu to say thank you. Stealing her nerves, she finally hit dial. But the second he picked up, all her gratitude vanished, and instead, she blurted out. I asked what was for lunch at the school cafeteria today, then cringed and just wanted to hang up. Before I hung up, I congratulated Yuna Lee on finally getting her hands on a real weapon. Next to her, the Dokgo brothers kept practicing with the rope dart, totally frustrated about why they just couldn't pull it off. That curved throw of hers, I realized that what Yuna had been searching for all along. Her own unique weapon and strength had actually been right there in her hands the whole time. Meanwhile, in a hidden room somewhere, a man screamed like a maniac, "Come at me, all of you. I'm Park Sang-doo." A voice replied, ice cold, "Well, that's gonna be a problem. AB rank just won't cut it. If you want to take down our A rank, Park Sang-doo. Guess we really do need an apostle for this, huh?" A doctor in a white coat walked straight toward a naked Park Sang-doo. Park Sang-doo froze in sheer terror. The kukri blade slipped right out of his trembling hand and hit the floor. The doctor mentioned he'd heard Park Sang-doo was quite the betting man, so he wanted to make a wager. A bet with the assassin who was borderline S-rank apostle. Do you think you can win against a real apostle? Reflected in Park Sang-doo's horrified eyes stood the Apostle Nathaniel. Back at the hospital, a little girl was throwing a tantrum over getting a shot. The Dokgo brothers scoffed, thinking she was just a weak little kid. She's got a long way to go before she's an adult, they said. But the very next second, they were shaking like leaves, asking the nurse. Can we just get full anesthesia for this? Yuna Lee stood nearby and muttered, fucking idiots. This was the mandatory physical exam for all rookie assassins. It went down at the New Glory Hospital, a place run straight by the Glory organization. We had to go through a whole bunch of tests. But honestly, the only thing freaking me out was the blood draw. The reason they take our blood is simple. It's to keep all the assassins on a tight leash. After all, biometric data like DNA and fingerprints doesn't just change, even if your body gets younger. So, if someone ever betrays the organization and makes a run for it, they can use that data to hunt them down and wipe them out. The higher-ups at Glory are bound to figure out eventually that the DNA they have on file for old Peter is an exact match to the young Peter's blood they drew today. Which means, my real identity is totally screwed. That night, I told Jiwon I wasn't just gonna sit around waiting to get killed. Because I'd already figured out a way to get Glory off my back for good. And that plan is to blow the damn hospital to pieces. Jiwon snapped at me. Give me a break, you crazy old geezer. Start talking sense. You get your youth back one time, and suddenly you think you're invincible. Do you even know what kind of place that is? Of course I know. It's the New Glory General Hospital in City A. Glory protects that place like their lives depend on it. It's the biggest hospital in Country B run by Glory. And yeah, from the outside, it looks completely normal. But behind closed doors, their main business is carrying out assassinations disguised as medical accidents. Patching up wounded assassins, and making dead bodies disappear. It's a hospital built exclusively for killers. Look, I know my DNA has to be locked up in their data center. So blowing the center to hell is my only option. Jiwon was fuming, both anxious and pissed off. Do you have any idea who's guarding the New Glory Hospital right now? It's the Apostle Nathaniel. That guy isn't even human. His codename is Nathaniel. They used to call him a gift from God, an absolute genius doctor. But then he completely vanished after a medical malpractice incident in his second year. Then, exactly 4 years ago in City C of Country G, a beat cop was heading back to the station after his shift. Just as he got to the entrance, he noticed something bizarre. It looked like someone had hung laundry out to dry right in front of the precinct. But as he got closer his eyes went wide with pure horror. He panicked so bad he actually crashed his patrol car. Because those weren't clothes hanging in front of the station, they were dead bodies, strung up one by one. The incident was so severe that special forces were called in to investigate. But the moment they saw the bloodbath inside, even they froze. Weapons were scattered everywhere across the floor, and the barrels of the guns were literally twisted and bent out of shape. The carnage didn't even look like something humans were capable of. It certainly wasn't the aftermath of any normal firefight. The Special Forces captain instantly knew they had walked straight into a nightmare. Suddenly, a massive hand reached out from the darkness, dragging one of the squad members into the eerie room in a split second. After the sickening crunch of breaking bones, the room fell dead silent. Lit by the moonlight, you could see the ceiling was impaled with corpses. A towering, massive figure slowly stepped out. I need stronger opponents, he muttered darkly. The Special Forces immediately raised their submachine guns and opened fire in a frenzy. But on that exact day, for the first time in 30 years, the 6 crime syndicates of City C that ruled above the law, along with the world's most elite military police, were completely wiped out. It honestly makes me doubt if human strength alone could really bend guns with bare hands. G1 said with total confidence, that intel is classified top secret by the City C authorities. It's the absolute, undeniable truth. She figured that with a monster like him inside Glory Hospital, a frontal assault would be suicide. We needed to find a loophole. Thanks to G1, I came up with the perfect way to get inside. Then, I asked her, hey, could you do me a favor? Out on the bustling streets, the crowd stared up in confusion at the giant billboard displaying Badro. What I asked of G1 wasn't anything crazy, just a simple little greeting. Right on the massive screen at Glory headquarters, the date was explicitly stated, August 24th. Following G1's instructions, a top-tier hacker breached Glory's servers and broadcasted that exact message. But the hacker was worried. If Glory traces this back, the boss is gonna be in deep trouble. G1 knew the risks perfectly well. But then again, she had never seen that reckless man ever fail a planned mission in his entire 50 years of active duty. It didn't take long for the hospital to be swarmed by a massive horde of D-rank assassins, all deployed for the Badro hunting operation. Their combat skills were absolute trash. They were basically just glorified watchdogs. The real threat was Nathaniel's private army. They were notorious killers from Country G. Even the weakest among them was at least a B rank. So now, we had the D-rank grunts, the legendary A-rank assassins that you'd be lucky to see once in a lifetime. And the apostle himself, Nathaniel. None of them ever expected To witness a clash between apostles in their lifetime. But, the general consensus? Nathaniel was going to win. Sure, Badro was an absolute legend, but rumor had it the old man was pushing 70. Not to mention, he was practically dying of terminal cancer. Just then, the Dokgo brothers spoke up with absolute certainty. Badro's taking the win this time. No doubt about it. The other assassins were just speechless. Are you guys seriously cheering for our target? But honestly, they kind of understood. After all, every rookie's ultimate dream was to become the next Badro. In reality, a lot of the assassins were praying that the old man wouldn't show up at all, because now that his face had been exposed, if he stepped foot in here, there was zero chance he'd leave alive. And right at that moment, disguised as D-rank assassin number 366. I was standing right there in the crowd with them. One of Nathaniel's private guards made an announcement. If you encounter Badro, engaging him in combat is strictly forbidden. You are to approach him, act respectful, and then shoot him with the tranquilizer guns provided. Do not forget this is the man who, in just 3 seconds, can take down a literal elephant. The moment you spot him, hit the nearest emergency alarm to report his position. The A-rank assassins will immediately rush in for backup. I etched every single one of those instructions deep into my brain. Well, isn't this hilarious? Badro joining the hunt to capture Badro. Let the games begin. Your beloved grandpa Badro has arrived. Meanwhile, all the top dogs across Country B had already caught wind that Badro had declared war. Word on the street was that everyone was starting to seriously question the competence of Glory's new boss. The army chief of staff glared at the new boss of Glory. If you can't even catch a toothless, old tiger, then you might as well just give up right now. Beside him, Choi Eun-chong, the chairman of the world's largest military-industrial corporation, just sat there in complete silence. The new boss of Glory replied with ice in his voice, "My apologies. I guess I wasn't being thoughtful enough. After all, you show you old geezers just a little bit of respect. And you completely forget your damn place, don't you?" The new boss suddenly grabbed the chief of staff's head and violently smashed it down into the water. "Are you looking down on me?" he growled. "Damn old geezer." The new boss is really looking forward to his own masterpiece and the coming showdown with Badro, who is his father's masterpiece. Meanwhile, I grabbed some doctor's head. In a split second, his neck let out a few loud pops, and he dropped heavily to the floor. Then he stood right up and groaned in relief. "Oh man, that feels amazing. You're the new young doctor, right? Where did you learn a technique like that?" I kept things casual and asked if he knew a doctor working here named Na Yun-il. The assassins sent to this hospital to hunt me down are all completely disguised. And the real name of the apostle assassin, Nathaniel, is Na Yun-il. I have to find him. But it seems like absolutely no one around here has ever heard the name Na Yun-il. I'm starting to suspect he changed his name and face and went into hiding. But one thing is for sure. Nathaniel is somewhere inside this hospital. Looks like this has turned into a high-speed race to see who can find the other first. Just then, a voice called out, asking what the hell I was doing. It was the Dokgo brothers, assassins disguised as patients, rushing me to get moving. I asked them where Yuna was. The older Dokgo brother bragged, "She's only ranked 335th. Her rank is too low to be here. The only reason you, as number 336, get to be here is because you're tagging along with us." While I was just wandering around, they had already turned the lobby upside down, seeing me as some weakling. They told me to scream for them if I got into trouble. Suddenly, they gasped, thinking they had finally spotted Badro. "He looks exactly like the photo," one whispered. I was speechless. How on earth did that old man look anything like the photo? Acting surprisingly respectful, the brothers whispered, "Grandpa, let us escort you out of here." Right then, another assassin disguised as a cute nurse popped up behind me. "Do you need a syringe?" I smiled faintly. "No thanks, the blood has probably been drawn already." I thought to myself, has the hunt for Badro already begun? Every old man in the hospital who matched Badro's age was getting their blood drawn under the guise of a free medical checkup. Trying to sneak the old man away, the Dokgo brother hushed him to keep quiet. Suddenly, someone bumped right into him. He glared at them and snapped, "Watch where you're going. Are you blind?" That's when he realized he had bumped into Lee Yuna, the girl who supposedly wasn't allowed in here. Yuna stuttered, stammering out that her younger brother was hospitalized here. After blurting that out, she scurried away without looking back. The older Dokgo brother chuckled arrogantly. "Ha, guess my overwhelming aura as number 333 scared her off." Meanwhile, I wondered what Yuna was actually doing here. Through my earpiece, G1's voice chimed in. "Now is not the time to be worrying about the junior assassins. What's your plan to flush out Nathaniel?" she asked. "We still have absolutely nothing on him." I knew full well that both Nathaniel and I were desperately searching for each other. But how could I lure him out without blowing my cover as Kim Soon-gu? Just then, one of Nathaniel's private guards barked at me. "Hey, Honorable D rank. If I catch you slacking off again, you're dead meat." I bowed respectfully and promised to get back to work quietly. Then I whispered to G1, "I found a way." Since the fisherman refuses to show his face, we'll just have to bite the bait ourselves. It's time to use that. I told Ji-won to get everything ready on her end. We move right now. Ji-won let out a wicked laugh. It's been a while. It's about time our kids got to stretch their legs and play a little. A moment later, I prepped myself and strode right into the operating room. A B-rank assassin, a big black guy, glared at me in confusion. Who the hell are you? I looked at him calmly. I'm the lead surgeon for today's operation. D-rank assassin, Kim Soon-gu. He scoffed and told me to get the hell out and go look for Badro. But Badro wasn't the one I was looking for. I stared at him dead in the eye and asked evenly, where is the Apostle, Nathaniel? He sneered, wondering why a measly D-rank was daring to speak that name. My voice dropped to an icy whisper. When an assassin asks for someone by name, there is only one reason.